going to speak here to anybody who's like me and has a really big ego. My ego is huge, and I have had to do a lot of work on forming a more loving relationship with my ego because here I so badly want to say the thing that is going to allow for somebody to feel seen and heard and empowered. And as I sit here and try to drop into my heart, it's like I can literally feel myself brushing up against my ego, saying, What do you think you're doing here, Rylan? You are trying to put yourself out into the world. You're trying to share your voice with somebody other than just yourself and your close family members. Like, that's really scary, and I think it's better that we don't do that. And I'm I'm trying to put this into words because it's like I literally feel the wall that I'm pressed up against as I try to drop in. And I think that the only thing that is helping me kind of break down that wall right now is that I'm just spitting words out enough for my ego to be like, okay, she's not listening to me. God, I mean, even right now, I so badly want to hit the end button and stop recording and walk downstairs and eat my feelings away because this is really hard for me. But you know what? Like I said, my why is stronger. My intentions are stronger. My intention here is to prove to myself that I can push through this feeling of not wanting to do it. I can push through this feeling of thinking that what I have to say isn't going to help anybody. I can push through. And that alone is signaling to the universe that my intention is clear and I am not going to walk away anymore. I have walked away every time for almost 2 years. I've walked away from the camera and I have taught myself that that is what is okay and it's not okay with me anymore. It's like I'm finally setting boundaries with my ego, actually. That is so funny. I'm literally setting a boundary. Before, I was letting my ego push me around. My ego was saying, "Oh, press and record. You can go downstairs and eat apples and peanut butter instead." Lots of peanut butter. And I would do it. And now I'm finally saying, you know what? Yeah, we can go have some apples and peanut butter after we film this video. And quite honestly, right now it feels a little bit liberating. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about when I pressed record, but I think that this is the message that's coming through for me today is learn how to set boundaries with your ego. And I think that this is like actually a really great practice because it always starts with yourself anyways, right? Like there are probably people in your life, other actual people in your life that you would like to set boundaries with, but it's really hard to set boundaries with other people. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, especially if they want to push against them. But if you can learn to set those boundaries with yourself first, then you get to establish that like evidence that you can hold to your word, that you can trust yourself to do what you say you're going to do. And I think that as you start to do that with yourself, that it's going to empower you to set those boundaries in all the other areas of your life. So, this is me inviting you and myself to think what are the areas in your life that you are trying to make some headway in that you're just not? And in what ways are you the one that's stopping you from getting where you want to be? And then maybe ask yourself, is this my ego? And my biggest piece of advice to you is do not approach your ego with frustration. Do not approach it with judgment and a desire to change it. Because you know what? Your ego is still you. And every single part of you is worthy of unconditional, overwhelming love. And what I do with my ego is I turn it into a playful energy. Like rather than being like, oh, like you're being so annoying, get out of the way. I'm like, you're being silly again, you know? And and just kind of joking with it and saying, I hear ya, and I get that that's what you want, but right now, this is what we're gonna do, and then we can play later. And keeping it light and loving and quite honestly, kind of like what I was describing before with the going to eat a snack, it's a negotiation. It's your ego is there to keep you safe, and that is like the most loving thing that it could do for you. That's all we ever want is to feel safe. That is like such a high form of love. Your ego is just trying to love you and protect you. And so if you can address that and be grateful for it and appreciate and recognize the effort that it's putting in for you, I think that's where the real success is going to come in for you. But it's still a relationship, and relationships need boundaries. So here, my boundary is saying I no longer tolerate these urges to try and stop myself from doing something that I know is going to help people. The same way if somebody were standing in my ear and trying to tell me all of the ways that I'm unworthy and that I'm not beautiful and that I'm not likable, my boundary would be I will not accept being spoken to that way. And it might be tricky at first, not might. It will be tricky at first. But you know what's beautiful is what's on the other side of those boundaries being set. It's feeling more free to be yourself, to say what you want to say, to feel what you want to feel. And that creates the space for you to get done what you have set out to do. So for me, on the other side of setting this boundary with my ego, is that I make it to the end of this recording and I post it and I don't delete it. And I trust the more that I can uphold these boundaries and stick to my word, the more that the universe is going to recognize that I'm serious and that my intention is there. And it is then that I know my words will start to pour through me and I will be able to say exactly what you guys need to hear. So go out, set those boundaries, baby.